is 11:05. Good morning once again. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you're joining us from. This is our discussion on Buckle Down on finding work-life balance for ourselves. The reality is that as human beings, we have a lot of things competing for our times. And it is even worse in a time like this, where we have a very fast-paced life and we have a lot of things to deal with. We need to learn how to be able to balance our work, our life generally. And in this century, there is a high demand of work from individuals. Employers have high expectations from employee. Business owners have a lot of burden to deal with. They have to think of business strategy. They have to think of marketing. They have to think of finances. They have to think of the welfare of their staff as well. They have to think of their customers, their family people. They have friends. They have a life to live. So sometimes it's difficult to be able to juggle all this together. And that's the reason why we're here today. And I hope you find this session useful. And I'm coming from from two perspectives. One, from a practitioner myself. I'm a business owner, and I work in a very fast-paced environment. I've had a lot of times where it's been very tough for me. I've learned from experience how to do this. And importantly, I'm a mental health law practitioner. And in the process of my work, I've learned a lot when it comes to how to balance work-life situations. And I want to share my experience with people to see how that can be done. So that's why we're here today. So generally, disclaimer, this content of this presentation is not constitutes legal or professional or medical advice. It's just for general information purposes. And I would employ people who are viewing or listening to this not to rely on this information. If you need help, you can seek legal advice. You seek medical and professional advice should you need that. So it's very important for us to know that. Ground rules. All participants will be muted upon entry into the session, so please ensure you remain muted. This is to ensure that we avoid distraction, especially for other attendees. And this webinar is recorded and it would be put on some of our social media, YouTube, Instagram. So therefore, we encourage participants to put off their videos so that they don't show when this is put on the website. There will be room for questions sometimes at the end of this session. So please, you can use the chat room to put in your questions, or when it's time for questions, you can indicate interest as well by raising your hands in the feature of the Zoom app. And so we start. When it comes to work-life balance, there are quite a number of quotes that have motivated me, and I just want to share them with you, and I hope you'll be able to think on these quotes. And I'm sure most of the people that I'm sharing their quotes are people that have either a very heavy work-life situation or professionals when it comes to mental health and work relationship. So it's very important for us to just look at these quotes. The first quote I want to share with us is this: success is not working hard, but it is working smart. So that is very important for us. So it is not how hard you work, but it is how smart you work. So if you have a calculator, you have 100 figures you want to add together and you are using your pen and paper, definitely someone using a calculator would be faster than someone using a pen and paper, except for genius. So we know everybody is not a genius. So when you're using a calculator, it's much faster for you in that respect. So it is important for us to note that. Another thing is, imagine life as a game in which you're juggling 5 balls. And that is the reality of life, where you have work, family, health, friends, and spirit. What you need to know is that work is just like a rubber. If you drop it, it will bounce up. But the other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and spirits, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, they would be irrevocably scuffed, marked, nicked, damaged, or even shattered. they will never be the same. You must understand that and strive for balance in life. Brian Dyson, former Vice Chairman, CEO of Coca-Cola. And this COVID in particular has taught me the importance of finding balance in life. I'd had time to reflect, and I'm sure a lot of us would have done that as well, to see what is important in our life. A lot of us have learned that we can work from home. A lot of us have learned that there are some things we can let go and we can focus on what is really important to us in life. So find rhythm, understand what is important to you, and resentful and protect it. You can't have everything you want, but you can have things that really matter to you. And thinking that way empowers you to work really hard for a really long period. And that is from CEO of Yahoo. So what this is just telling us is that we can't have everything in as much as we wish or you want, but you can have what matters to you. So the focus should be on what matters to you. And Hillary Clinton, one of my favorite person in the world, she's a great motivation for me. I really like her. She says, don't confuse having a career with having a life. A lot of people spend time building career, focusing on career for 30, 40 years. They wake up one morning, they just realize they have no life. So career is not a life. So there are some people, even at work, they don't have friends. They get into the office, they lock themselves in. I'm sure you know about the water cooler break. You know, people go to the water cooler. Sometimes it's not just to drink water, just to have a chat with your colleague. Oh, how are you? How is your son? How was the weekend? How's the barbecue? How was your cousin you said you're going to see? Is your grandma feeling well? Is your mom feeling well? They don't have time for that, but they just wake up and they realize that they have no relationship. So it is very important not to confuse having a career with a life. Career is not life. So we need to know that. First Lady Michelle Obama, a lady I admire so much, says we need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our to-do list. And professionals are the worst on this. You see lawyers, and I'm guilty of that as well. When there's any agreement or anything legal to do in the house, my husband would have to force me before I get it done. But I would have other people's file that I prioritize. Same thing for medical practitioners. They would be the last to go for physical. If they have any health problems, they would be the last to go and buy the medication, and they keep carrying the list all around. So we need to learn to love ourselves, and there is no sin in loving yourself. So we have to learn to put ourselves high on the priority list. I want us to take a little poll now. I would like you to please open your browser. It is a poll on work-life balance by CAMH, Center for Mental Health and Addiction in Canada. So just type in tiny.cc/CAMH on your system, tiny.cc/CAMH. I'll give you a few minutes to do that, tiny.cc/CAMH. This is just for us to determine what level are we individually on. I will tell you my level is, I did the poll myself, and I will tell you what level I'm on. So tiny.cc/CAMH. I'll give you some time, and you'll see the projection in front of you, what you see. And it's just easy answers. It's either you agree or you disagree. tiny.cc/CAMH. So I hope we're almost done. Some of the questions, I feel like I have little or no control over my work life. When I'm home, I feel relaxed and comfortable. Question 6. Question 7, I have time to do something just for me every week. Question 8, on most days, I feel overwhelmed and overcommitted. Do you agree or not? I rarely lose my temper at work. Question 10, I never use all my allotted vacation days. I'm sure there are a lot of workaholics that are guilty of that. I often feel exhausted even early in the week because throughout the weekend, you're busy doing office work at home as well. Usually I walk through my lunch break. I have a lot of colleagues I can call out on that. Even when they're in the kitchen, they are working with their lunch. I rarely miss out on important family events because of work. I frequently think about work when I'm not working. I am very guilty of that. Then the last one, my family is frequently upset with me about how much time I spend working. Okay, I'll give us about 2 minutes more. So if you are done, you just click submit and you see where you are. If you are done, you click submit. Okay, so we'll see the result of the poll. If your point is 0 to 5, it shows that your life is out of balance. You need to make significant changes to find your equilibrium, but you can take control. So this is to show that this webinar is for you. This is a red flag. You really need to step up and do something to find out what is important in life. 6 to 10, you're keeping things under control, but only barely. Now is the time to take action before you are knocked off balance. 11 to 15, you're on the right track. You've been able to achieve work-life balance. Now, make sure you protect it. So the essence why I did this poll is just for us to know where we are, and it gives us a motivation to be able to pay attention to some of the tips we're going to share and discuss when it comes to work-life balance. So if you're 0 to 5, you really need to pay attention. And one thing is that habit is very difficult. Old habits, very difficult to kick. New habit is very difficult to form. Some says that you need to have done a thing for, I think, over a month or so before it becomes an habit. So some of the things we're sharing now is not something you would do once or twice. Sometimes we drop the ball, but we just have to make a conscious effort and be deliberate with these actions so that on the long run, we'll be able to have a fulfilled life. So why do we need to discuss work-life balance? Mental health. That is just the bottom line. Our mental health is as important as our physical health, if not more important. Because a lot of us, our mental health is not what we can readily see. Unlike when you have an headache, you can feel the headache. When you have a cut, you can see blood coming out. You have a bruise, you can see the bruise, you can see swellings. So it's easier to treat, it's easier to see, unlike mental health. And mental health is so easy to degenerate if we don't take care of it. So that's why it's very important for us to take care of mental health. And that is the important reason why we need to find equilibrium in life. And where we don't take care of our mental health, it rubs on people around us, our colleagues at work, family members at home, friends, community, because you just realize that your tolerance level will be very, very low. Sometimes quick to snap, sometimes quick to find fault, very irritable. And so that's why we need to find out that is very important. And another thing is that this COVID has also exposed a lot of that. All over the world, there is a lot of domestic issues as a result of, although the stress of COVID is there, but it's when we see that sometimes it's accumulation of stress all over the place. So one really needs to take care of one's mental health to be able to take control of one's life. So what are the steps? What steps do we need to succeed to buckle up on our work balance life? What are the steps? So I'm just sharing the steps with us. They are not mutually exclusive, but they are steps that have worked for me. They are steps that I've read, that have worked in practice. And if we can just take time to practice some of these steps, it will take us to where we want to be. The plans of work-life balance is not one size fits all model. So just like I said, there are many factors that determine that. So even those things I'm going to share, we'll modify them to suit our life, to suit our circumstances. So the nature of our work, if you work at home, you're self-employed, you work in trades, you work in the office, you relate with customer, you relate with people, healthcare. So the way you devise how you're going to find balance is different. Family needs, family setup is also different. So when you have little children, when you have teenagers, when you don't have children at all, or when you have family setup where you have a lot of family members living together, where you can rely on others, or where it's just the couple taking care of the children alone. So those, or where you have parents living with you, you have relatives living with you. So all those dynamics also determine how you find balance in life. Economic status as well. Age, very important. Culture, community support and profile. So for instance, those that live in the Western world, you know, it is almost, you have to do it on your own. There is not so much community support, unlike those that live in countries where they have a lot of community support. Africa is a good example. I know Asia too. They have a good and robust community support, external family support. The way they do that is so different. I remember when my family first relocated to Canada. Our youngest was 4, our eldest was 9, about going to 10. And we realized that unlike back home, we have nanny, we have living, we have the one that stay. I had friends, if I need to go somewhere that I trust, I can leave my children with. I have friends, if they're going to work over the weekend, they drop their children with me, we live close by. And it's so sad that you have to take your children everywhere with you. You can't leave them at home. If you go shopping, you can't leave them in the car. You know, it was a life I'd never seen before. So it was really tough. You know, it was really tough. And when we came, I went back to school. My husband went back to school. School timing is different. I have 3 children. 2 were going to the same school. 1 was going to French Immersion. It was really complicated. I really missed the family support in that instance. You know, I remember sometimes I would be at work. I won't bother that I'm running home. I just call my neighbor, oh, my children are home alone. Can you check in on them? So I don't even need to tell my neighbor, give my children food. Once I say check in on them, she would make sure they eat. And same thing too applies to me, and my neighbor calls me as well. But the reality dawned on me that I'm not in a society that gives me the opportunity, especially when I'm new in a place. So those are realities that would help us to determine our work-life balance. So the first thing that is very important in finding balance in life is boundaries. You have to find balance and create boundaries. Boundaries are very important for yourself, for people around you. You have to create boundaries for yourself. You have to determine, my life for a long time before I woke up, I had no boundaries. Sometimes I leave the office about 10, 11. I get home, I have a permanent seat. As I'm coming in, I'm just carrying my laptop on my lap and I'm continuing work. You know, it was like, why are you home? It's like, I'm just coming from the office and work continues. So if there's need for that, where the emergency cases, yes, but one needs to set boundaries for oneself. And like I said, boundaries depends on the nature of what you do, your circumstances. So what are examples? You separate work from the rest of your life. Is very important you do that. You need to make boundaries. If you are deciding every Sunday I go to church with my family, every Sunday we go to the picnic, I go to the park, I take time, a me time, you know, I just want to sleep and wake up whenever I want. I want to be in my pajamas all day on a Wednesday, you know, it's okay. And schedule frequent breaks at work. And this has to be intentional. Yeah, you know, especially those that do office job, even if it's every 15 minutes, if it's every 2 hours, is very important. If not, so you just realize you are locked up in a cocoon all day in the office. And not only does it affect mental health, it also affects your physical balance as well. My doctor had to tell me that you need to walk all the time. I have my principal partner in the office, you know, one thing I see him do that emulates a lot is that he's always walking around, and which is very good for mental health and physical health. So you go to the copier, you come back, you want to ask a colleague a question, instead of picking the phone, you walk there, you come back. So those frequent breaks are very good for you. And another thing is setting list of daily tasks and be realistic about it. There's no point having 20 things you want to do in a day, and by the end of the day is only 2 that is achievable. So one, you need to be realistic and you need to be flexible. So it's very good to set a perspective. At the beginning of the week, what do you want to achieve in the week? And you look at each day, okay, on Monday, what do I need to do? So you need to set that perspective for yourself. Decide what to do and those things to let go, especially at home. Is like picking your battles. That's one thing I learned. As a parent, that is one thing I learned. When my children were younger, I'm the kind of parent that toys have to be at the right place. This because that was how I was brought up. So you have to make sure your toys are here. You have to make sure by the time you finish playing 10 minutes, toys are. So it's like my head is just all over the place. You wash this, you put it here. I just decided I'm picking my battles. This is the toy area, play area for my children. Whatever you want to do in your area, that's your problem. Just don't come to this area. You know, we really just need to learn to create boundaries for ourselves so that we don't create unnecessary tensions for ourselves at work as well. And one thing we need to know is that people have different temperaments and people have different backgrounds, economic background. We have different cultures. We have different perspectives to life. So when you work with people, learn to understand them and create boundaries and know that, okay, with this person, this is how I would take it. Everything can be the way you want them to be. Like I said at the beginning, we need to learn that. So we need to know what is our bottom line and we need to know what we can let go. That is very important. And that is how to find a balance. It's a skill and you have to tilt it to ensure you have a balance because it can't tilt on one side what you want all the time. You just have to find balance, and that is very important. So another thing we've talked of, boundaries, exercise. You must be energized when you're doing exercise. Studies shows that when you exercise, it releases endorphins in the body, and that gives you a positive feeling. So exercise makes you energized and refreshed. There's a general misconception about exercise. It's not until you are at the gym before you do exercise, and it's not until you have 30 minutes that you do exercise, even if it's 15 minutes. I've learned that even while you're in your office, you're working, you make sure you move your legs, you move your hands. One thing that has helped me when I go to court, a lot of times I light at like 2 subways before I get to where I'm going and I get to work. From the train station to my office, I take a walk. When I go to the mall, I don't park close to the mall. I park far. So I don't look for close parking spot. I park far, so it takes me time to walk fast to get there. So that is very important. So what you do to exercise is not until you carry dumbbells, you pull weights. So there are some little things that you can do as well. You pace yourself, because by the time you just get into it and you go out of it, you just realize that you do exercise for a while and you get out of it. So it has to be a way of life and you have to do it gradually. About, I think 5 years ago, thereabouts, I was on a weight loss journey and I got a personal trainer and it was very hard. But the good thing was that I started slow, which helped me. So I was going to the gym myself. It was later I realized I wasn't even using the equipment rightly. I didn't know how to use them. I got a personal trainer. We started with 30 minutes. Out of the 30 minutes, warm up before, warm up after. So I'm just really doing like 15 minutes. Later, I went to 45 minutes. Later, I could do 1 hour. So it's with time. And after some time, I didn't need the personal trainer again. I was able to find balance in my life and how to exercise. And recently during this COVID, I've been able to buy a tricycle for myself because I realized I can't find balance on a bicycle. So those are the things we're saying. You just need to find what works for you. Everybody has tried to teach me how to ride a bike. My husband has taught me over 20 years ago. I still could not find balance because I'm always afraid I don't want to fall. My son tried training me. I just decided that, look, I want to ride this bike. I went to Canadian Tire in, I think, April. I got a tricycle for myself. And the good thing is that I should have put the picture up. I forgot. It has a basket at the back of it. So it's so beautiful. So I'm enjoying my bike ride. And one thing with exercise as well, it gives you time to think. That is what it does for me. I'm a spiritual person, so my exercise time is a time I reflect, is a time I pray, is a time of devotion for me, is a time I meditate. So that is even multitasking for me. So exercise is very important, and we don't need to magnify exercise when we're doing that. So exercise is very important when it comes to finding work-life balance. Another thing is flexibility. We need to be flexible. A lot of things happen in life that you don't plan. If you're too rigid, you realize that being rigid itself brings tension in life. One needs to learn to be able to accommodate plans for the day, plans for your life, and things like that. I'm sure a lot of people had planned they are traveling for summer, and suddenly everything just broke down. Some are stranded somewhere else. And one just needs to be flexible. During this COVID, my younger sister has 2 little children, and people with children, I really, really feel, it's not the parents I feel sorry for, it's the children I really feel sorry for. You can imagine children in kindergarten, out of the 8-9 hours they're in school, they're running around for 5-6 hours. You now saddle them inside the house. If they climb on the couch, don't jump, stop there. They can't walk there, don't touch that, don't touch this. It's very hard for them, so we just need to learn to be flexible, find alternative things, go out to the backyard, let them burn the energy, do whatever they want to do. They come in, they have a shower, and they sleep. So even in our daily lives, at work as well, we need to learn to be flexible with the way we do things so that we just don't get too tensed doing things with people. And another thing is that there are quite a number of people that like doing things in specific ways. So if you don't want trouble for yourself, is either if you want to do everything yourself, that is not wise because you are not finding balance. So you just have to find out what is so important that you need to do, and you allow people to do others for you. And that is just being flexible when it comes to doing things. A very important thing when it comes to finding balance in life is integration. And this is what best describes integration. It says that when attitude in one role positively spill over into another role, or when experiences in one role serve as a resource that enrich another role in one's life. This is absolutely important for us. And this is one thing we need to leverage on. Efficiency used at work can also be applied at home. I learned a lot from my mom when it comes to efficiency. My mom is a businesswoman. She's efficiency personified. We're 6 of us growing up. So what my mom does is that in the evening, we all have tasks. I do meals, I prep meals, I do dinner, I prep meals for the day as well. I have a sister that brings out shoes. So at the night, she brings out all our school shoes, she polishes them. Another sister of mine brings out our underwear. My mommy takes care of the uniform, she irons them. So in the living room, each person, your uniform is put there, your vest, your pants, your socks, your shoes. The other person, I bring out the lunch bag, I put them on the table, I put the water bottles, I fill them with water. So in the morning, all my mom does is just to pack the meals and put in each person's water bottle. So this has saved the trouble of in the morning, oh, where is the socks? We're looking for this, it has saved them. So the efficiency you use at work, you can multitask. The same thing too with the wisdom you use at home, how you maybe plan finances, plan resources. You also use that idea to make decisions at work. So a lot of times we're very prudent at work with resources. You can as well apply that at home. There's a quotation from Kemi that I love so much. It says, integration is not about trade-off, but signages. Gaining more by combining aspects of life, often deliberately quarantined from each other. So sometimes we think some aspects of our lives are in separate boxes, but the truth is that there are a lot of efficiency in one aspect of life that we can use when it comes to the other aspect of life. And it is very important for us to leverage on that so that we can find balance in life. Integration is a very important factor when it comes to finding work-life balance. And it must be deliberate. Finding integration, leveraging on integration must be deliberate. Once you reflect, what are the things that I think is causing me trouble? What am I good at work? What am I good at home? How can I apply this efficiency I have at work, at home? How can I? Sometimes you see that somebody at home, you're very patient at home. Neighbors can talk to you, your friends can talk to you, you have a good listening here. If you work in a business, you can leverage on that with clients, you know. So you would be the front that deals with clients, and there can be specialization at work. A patient person can deal directly with clients, while a person that is not patient will not deal directly with clients. Instead of everybody having maybe five clients per day, allow the patient person deal directly with clients, while the other person will do the back end job. So that is how to integrate and manage the synergies we have in one aspect of our life to the other. This is a very important thing. Avoid stress factors. The truth in life is that a moderate amount of stress improves our efficiency and our mental sharpness. That is true. But the question is, what is moderate? How do we know what stress factors are moderate or are not moderate? Kemi, from Kemi website, they gave some factors to note when you see that this stress level is not giving me efficiency. For instance, you feel like you've lost control over life. You just wake up one morning and it's like, oh my God, what is happening to my life? It's like, I don't want to move on. Then that stress is not the type of stress you want. Or you feel guilty about neglecting your different roles. And this is especially for mobile upcoming parents. You have little children, especially those coming from countries where maybe there's a lot of traffic on the way. You leave the house at 6 a.m., your children are still sleeping. By the time you get home, the children are fast asleep. So Mondays to Fridays, you have nanny taking care of the children. And even at work, you can't give your best and you now start to feel guilty. That is a stress you don't need. When you're always tired, that used to be me sometimes, you are just always fagged out. That is a stress you don't need. Or where you find it difficult to concentrate. So that means there are too many things on your mind you are dealing with. So stress is not what you need at all. So one needs to deal with stress. So what are the stress factors that you need to ensure you keep away from? So these are some very important concerns that causes stress. Finance is usually number one on the list of people. How do I get money? How do I pay this fee? How do I do that? So the way to be able to handle financial stress is planning. One needs to learn to plan a lot. A financial planning was stating that one of the problems with a lot of people is people look at peers, especially these days of social media. You see different people wearing all sorts of things and you want to catch up with them and you don't know what they're doing. They have some special websites where they buy a lot of these high-end bags and they buy fairly used ones and at a fraction of the price. And you see a friend of yours who has this high-end bag, you don't know how they got there. We're earning about the same salary. How is she changing her bags and her clothes all the time? And you're wondering, oh, my friend, oh my God, we've been talking since we got married. We're putting our children in private schools. And suddenly you're earning about the same salary. Your friend has the children in private schools and you can't afford this and you are beating yourself trying to find 6-7 jobs. And that person has maybe parents or grandparents that are funding the education of the children. So we just need to make financial plans for ourselves and determine what is one's goal and not have too many concerns. So it's very important for one to plan. And sometimes you deal with difficult people. You deal with difficult people in family, you deal with difficult people in life, you deal with difficult people around you. You just need to go beyond and above that, because when you deal with difficult people, after interacting with them, you bring that burden, that energy back with you, and you are still thinking, you're getting annoyed, people around you are having the effect. You just need to learn that this is how this person is. You can't push your burden on me, and you draw the line. So these are where boundaries would help you as well. And relationships as well is another thing that causes stress that we need to learn. Sometimes parents and children, young children, old children, whether they're teenagers, parents of teenagers, they have their troubles with their phones. They're always, I don't know, these children and their phones, forever on the phone. I remember there was a day my son was cooking and he had his phone in his hand. I was like, can you do this? How can you be cooking and have phones? I don't know. Whatever they are doing, they are washing dishes, they have phone, they are here, they have phone, you know. So you just have to learn to pick your battles with them. And even children to have their own stress. My second daughter, there was a day I was in the living. She just ran from her room upstairs. Mommy, why are you doing this? And it's like, what is this? She said, I checked your Instagram post and your pictures were out of the place. So that is my daughter's stress, is my Instagram post. So she had to take her time to sit down to teach me that when I see a picture, you just don't post it like that. You have to ensure that the front is the same size. So she's my Instagram checking person. When she asks her, Mommy, just don't post anything. Make sure you read over, make sure you check. And they've taught me that sometimes you want to type something, type it on your notes, do the check, because sometimes if you type directly on Instagram, you put post, it changes alignment. So, you know, everybody have what is their stress level. So we just need to find out what it is and learn how to manage it. Another thing is parental concerns. Parents are concerned about the health of their children, concerned about the education of their children. So the most important thing is we just need to know what are the things that aggravate or cause stress level for us. So once we identify that, we learn how to manage that and how to deal with that. Medical concerns, sometimes some people are afraid, oh, I'm seeing these signs. It's like I have this. Every day you wake up, I have this. Don't I have this? You're afraid of going to go and find out. Why don't you just once and for all go and find out from medical personnel and let them tell you what it is, whether you even have that thing or not. And if it's somebody that is struggling from a medical issue that you know, learn how to deal with it and move on with life. So it's very important for one to know micromanagement. That is a real problem. There are some set of people that they just have to manage everything. They manage everybody's life around them. At home, they manage whoever is with them, teenage children, baby, grown up. They want to know what you're wearing in the morning. What are you packing to school? What clothes are you wearing? I used to be like that. And I had to learn, lady, you have to find balance. You know, it was really bad. I managed everybody's life. Why are you taking to school? What are you doing this? But it's good to monitor, know what you're, but not micromanage. You can't micromanage everything. You need to find balance. And another one is Voltron Syndrome. Voltron is a cartoon I love when I was young. You know, they call it Voltron, Defender of the Universe. So that's some people, they are just there to help everybody. Believe you me, you cannot help everybody. If you try to do that, you will break down at your own detriment. So you make sure that you are number one on your to-do list. When you travel, you remember some of the things they tell you, the safety they tell you is that if you're traveling with a child or with somebody that can't help themselves, they're impaired. What do you do first? You help yourself first before you go ahead to help them. If there's a mask, you put on the mask and to be able to help them. Because if you're trying to put the mask on them, you don't get it right and you can't have energy, the two of you will lose out at the end of the day. So that's one thing that is very important for us to know. It is when we're mentally, we're physically doing well, that is when we can assist those around us. So these are things, some of the things that could cause stress in our lives. So we need to identify them. We need to know how to deal with them, how to set boundaries in each of them, and how to find balance for ourselves. Another thing is, so when it comes to stress management, stress is one of the key factors when it comes to finding work balance. So stress management is a process of reducing, avoiding, and mitigating stress. So all those things I've mentioned, and depending on your situation and circumstances, you could find that there are more things. So how do I reduce this? What can I avoid? What can I mitigate or reduce? So it requires attitude and behavioral changes, you know, and you need to continually exercise it because it has to be continually done. Like I told you that old habits, difficult to drop. New habit is also difficult to form. So you have to continue doing something like exercise. You just have to be deliberate. I wake up every day, even if it's 10, 15 minutes to do this, it's very important. So I need to sleep for longer hours and things like that. So stress management must be a deliberate effort and it requires behavioral change. It's very important. Resilience is another thing when it comes to finding work balance. The dictionary defines resilience as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So there are many challenges in life. Aside from work-life balance, that is one challenge. Parenting, finances, spirituality, health, there are a lot of things that could cause stress in our lives. So we just need to know that you don't give up. That is resilience. Resilience also is very important in finding work-life balance. You don't give up, you don't back down when it comes to work-life balance. I used to think, as a Black lady, I'm so tough. When people say, oh, I'm so tired, or I watched, it always amazes me when people say, oh, I watched a movie and it really affected me. Sometimes I watch a movie, I cry, yes, but I don't feel I'll watch a movie and it will affect me emotionally and I'll be thinking 4 or 5 days about it. And I thought, what's all this nonsense about? That's not me, you know? Or I see somebody do things, I felt, this is not me. But I realized that in these days of the death of George Floyd and all that's been happening, I've just been reflecting and I can't believe how much this has affected me. I love reading, but for a while, I find it difficult to read. So usually what I do is I buy books, I just keep them on my shelf that I have to come back to read them. And the good thing now is the audiobooks. A local library has audiobook selection, so you don't even have to buy it. It's just on your phone, you register, you can download on your phone, you return, you borrow books online. Is so super. So the list of the books, and I'm a fan at Indigo. I can spend 10 hours at Indigo. I'm never in a hurry when I go to Indigo. So a lot of times I'm on the website, I see Eater's book list for the week, for the month. I always have a place where I store the list of the good books. So now with the COVID and co, I'm really taking my time, the ones I can read, ebooks. And recently I just found out that in the last 2 weeks, the book I've been reading, I read The Eight You Give, Angie Thomas, and is about this young Black children. It was just like a George Floyd incident where a young boy was just killed for no reason. The police officer was released. I felt, why would I pick this book? I didn't know what it was all. I didn't even read it. I just had them. I borrowed them. I was on the waiting list and it just came. And 3 days ago, another one was ready. It's Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. And I was reading it. I just finished it yesterday. Is about a Black nurse lady who a white person didn't want them to take care of the baby. And it was like she was set up at the end of the day, and it was based on a true life story. And I just realized yesterday or 2 days ago, I was really affected by all these things I was reading. And I didn't believe this could really affect me. You know, I was just really affected. I started thinking of all the discrimination I've experienced. I remember there was a day I went to the court here in Canada, and I was the only Black lady in suits. I was in suits, I was in my pilot case, and it was my first time in that court building. So I went to the registry to find out how I can locate the court list so that I can know which court I'm in. And the lady there just says that, oh, only counsels are allowed in the room. Other people should please go out and they would attend to them. And some people went out. And suddenly she was just looking at me and telling me that only counsel is allowed in the room. And I was the only one in, at least you would think that if I were wearing maybe an ordinary clothes, you wouldn't think I'm a counsel, but thinking that I'm wearing a jacket, I had files in my hand, I had a pilot case with me, would give her the indication that I am a counsel. But she now came and stood in front of me and said, everybody should be outside, only counsel are allowed in. And I was thinking in my brain, have I done anything wrong? But thank God I was quick on my feet. And I just looked at her and I said, excuse me, were you referring to me? Because at first when she said it, when she came to my front, I looked back, I said, maybe there was somebody at my back she was talking to. And there was nobody. And I looked at her and I said, were you referring to me? So when I said that, she just jumped through and said, oh, no. And she just went to sit down. How can I help you? And I was wondering, oh my God, does it mean even as I'm dressed like this, I still don't look like a lawyer? What else do I need to do to look like it? You know, all those things started flooding back to me. And I had this sense of discouragement in me. I had this sense of, it's like, is it even worth it? But I just made up my mind. I just encouraged myself that I'm not giving up. I'm not backing down. A lot of people have really fought for us to get to where we are. So a lot of times, even in our individual lives, we experience some things, especially during this COVID period. There's been a lot of challenges, financial challenges, relationship challenges, emotional challenges, health challenges. We've lost loved ones and things like that. But it is not a time to give up. This is a good time to reflect on what is important to us in life. Is a good time to reflect on how to move on in life. What can I do better for myself? Sometimes it's a time for you to even think, am I doing the right thing? A lot of us are doing 20, 30 jobs that all we need to do is just one job, love our family members, spend more time with them instead of the money we are amassing. We really need to sit down and count the cost and think of what we need to do to move on. So resilience is very important when it comes to finding work-life balance. Positive emotions. You can't believe how important this is in work-life balance. There's a lady in my office. She's forever smiling. If I think of her, I smile. You know, a lot of times you don't know how you affect people. I'm always looking forward to her emails. It's always ending with, enjoy your day. You know, when I read it, I smile. It makes a difference to me. So when we have this positive emotion, is an energy for ourselves and people around us. You know, you just have a listening ear. Somebody tells you about something some time ago and you just take a break to, oh, how is this doing? You have a positive energy around you is very good for you. Gratitude, joy, love, serenity, kindness, generosity. Generosity includes a listening ear, you know. Generosity includes a smile at people you don't know, you know. Generosity, kindness. Somebody is walking on the road, something drops, something happens, you just help people. But positive emotions is even good for you as a person, not even to the third party or the second person around you. But positive emotions is also good for those that are around you. So it's very, very important for us to exhibit positive emotions. Try to smile. I mean, look into the mirror, talk to yourself. You are looking good, girl. How are you doing today? So what's happening? Where are you going today? Be happy with yourself. That is the only way you can find mental balance for yourself. You need to like yourself. If you don't like yourself, you can't move on. A lot of people, sometimes at work, you just believe, oh, they're talking about me. But at last, nobody even notices anything that is happening. It's just because inside we don't have this positive energy. So you need to reflect from inside to have this joy that comes from inside and exhibit the positive energy for yourself. So it's very, very important to have positive emotions. And even psychologists and mental health practitioners talk about this a lot. And from the religious perspective as well, yoga, Christianity, all of the religious perspective as well, spirituality, they also tell you that positive emotions is very good for you. So it's very good to exhibit positive emotions. Support system. One of the best way to find balance in life is by support system. Human nature, we are not created to be alone, and COVID has taught us a lot. When COVID started, I was not in the country. I traveled to Nigeria. I came back and I had to quarantine myself for 2 weeks. And there was a day I was really depressed. You can imagine I'm at home with my family members, but I'm just locked up in a room. You know, I could hear their voice, I could hear their laughter, and I'm just there alone. I was really, really depressed because by human nature, we are animal of interaction. You know, you interact with people. That is how God has created us. So we need to learn and not to be ashamed to ask for help. And we should accept help when offered. We have friends, families, at work, therapists, doctors, especially when it comes to mental health. Sometimes mental health is something that people have negatively castigated. There's nothing wrong in everybody finding mental health. About a year and a half ago or so, I had an accident and it affected me physically, emotionally. At that point when I had the accident, it was like everything in my life was just at a stop. Everything, not pause, it was at a stop. Sometimes when I'm working on the file, I just stop. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know whether I'm working on an application or I'm writing a letter. I just go blank. It was that point that it was really bad for me. You know, sometimes I don't even want to get up in the morning. It was that bad. And I have pains all over my neck, my leg. I'm somebody that I'm on the go. Oh my God. Since I've been young, I am always on the go. And suddenly I'm someone that they had to give medications to be able to get up in bed. I just woke up one day. I said, no, doctors give me morphine. It was really bad. There was a morning I was going to court. I got to the staircase. I was already dressed. I just sat by the stairs and I started having this strong vibration. My son was going to school. He saw me, had to call, I think, an ambulance or something, and they took me to the hospital. They gave me morphine. And after using morphine for like 2 weeks, I realized once I put it under my tongue, I'm good, I'm ready to go. But once that feeling subsides, even at work, I get moody, I feel bad. I just woke up one morning, I just flushed it down the toilet, that this is not me, this is not my life. And I sought help, and I'm good where I am. So we need to seek help when it comes to our mental health. We need to seek help from people around us. For instance, in my daughter's school, because of the nature of my work, a lot of times I go to work very early. My daughter does a lot of student council things, and she has to be in school 6:30, sometimes 7 to plan. One of our friends, the mom, has more time in the morning. So she comes to pick my daughter and she drops her as well if you need. And I told her, what can I do in return? She said, oh, you don't have to. And I'm glad because she's just helping me. So we don't need to feel guilty. My daughter too has another friend that they have an activity. They go to the church every week. Either myself or my husband go to pick the friend and we drop them. And the mother said, oh, I said, no, it doesn't matter. So we should learn to lean on people. It is an advantage for us. We should not feel we're a burden. If you're a burden, they will tell you that. So we really need to learn to seek for help. And when people offer us help, we must learn to accept help and lean on the support system we have around us. So that is very important for us when it comes to that. Then hobbies is another great thing when it comes to finding balance in life. If you've had an hobby and you think it's stale, pick up new habits. Habits need not be, or hobbies you need to find need not be very expensive. I love planting a lot. When it's summer, oh my God, I buy seeds. Most of my flowers in my house, I start them from the scratch. I buy very little ones. I grow them, my food. So I love reading. And if you find out that because you're on the go, you can't, I love my book, holding books. I love the smell of new book. Oh my God, I love hardcover books. I don't like paperback. I love hardcover. I don't like wrinkled books. I just love seeing books. I love books. But now that I know, because of the way I go, I don't have time to read, I've learned to modify to audio books now. So I'm in the car, I'm listening to the book. Even at work, I multitask a lot. Sometimes when I'm doing things I don't really need to think in the office, I have my audio book on. I'm always listening to one thing or the other, motivation, audio books, and you find time to go out with friends, Even husband and wife as a couple, find time to go out, have somebody watch the children for you. You don't have to feel guilty, you have a life. Even as a couple, we need to learn that sometimes the woman just wants to be with her friends. It is okay. Don't feel guilty. The guy wants to be with his friends and go out. It's okay. We need to find that level in our life, and we need to develop hobbies. You need to have a pause. Everything does not have to be work, children, obligations. It does not have to be. Find something you love. I sold quite a number of masks during this holiday. My husband loves traveling, so I have no choice to join him when he goes to everywhere he goes. He loves driving. He can drive for 30 hours, non-stop and things like that. And it doesn't have to be expensive. If you love traveling, you love visiting places, you will realize that even in the city where you are, there are lots of places you've not gone. I remember when myself and my children, we went to London and we're visiting some places. My nephew and nieces were actually telling their parents that I grew up in London and I've not been to these places. But a lot of times you think, I'm in London, I want to go to Paris. Meanwhile, they're very interesting places you've not gone to. A lot of people in Nigeria who I want to go to London. Yankari is there, you've not been there. Port Harcourt is there, you've not been there. Agogo is there, you've not been. So sometimes it doesn't have to be that very expensive. Even in your city, there are places you can go. So it's very important to just find or be something to do. And it gives you a fresh breath of life. It makes your mind clear. So hobbies is another very important thing when it comes to work-life balance. Sleep. A lot of high functionals executives have issues with sleep. I used to think that sleep was a waste of time. It's not that I don't sleep, but I sleep very few hours, because if I sleep for 5 hours and I sleep for 2 hours, in fact, I am worse. If I sleep for 2 hours and you wake me up, I can get up quick and smart. If I sleep for 5 hours, oh God, ask my children. They have to set like 20 alarms to wake me up. You have to set alarm to wake me. The alarm has to be like that, like 4 or 5 times. So I want to wake up at 5. The alarm starts at 3:30, 3:45, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 4:35. Maybe by the time it's 5 o'clock, I'll be able to, I find it difficult to get. But the less I sleep, the more I'm vibrant and active and I'm ready to go. So I hardly sleep. And I'm a nocturnal animal. I'm at my element when it's like 11 p.m. to like 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. I think well. In fact, I cook. I disturb people in my house. I cook, I blend. That's when I do my bulk cooking in the house. Since I've been young, I do that a lot. One day, my daughter, I think she was about 12, she came down and I just finished my chores. I went to have my bath. I was going to work. She said, "Did you sleep?" I said, "No, I don't sleep." I do that a lot. From the night I come back from work, I have a shower, I eat, I'm back on the table, I'm working. When it's like 5, I go have my shower, I pack my bag and go into work. "You didn't sleep?" I said, "I didn't sleep." "You will not be saying, no, it doesn't affect me, I'm fine." She said, "Mom, you know all these things you're doing will have a repercussion. In another 20, 30 years, you will just be shocked what has happened to you. You are going to pay back." And I just sat down that, see what this girl is telling me is true. So I'm really forcing myself to sleep now, whether you like it or not. So I am sleeping, and she's my watchdog. She comes up in the morning, "Mommy, how many hours did you sleep?" I said, "Maybe 3 hours." I said, "You're not yet there, but 3 hours is still good enough." So the magic word is enough sleep. Sleep for each person is different. What amounts to enough sleep for each person is different, but it is enough sleep. That is what is very important when it comes to sleeping, is to have enough sleep. Some have said that you need to sleep for a minimum of 7 hours a day, some 7 to 9 hours, but at least you should have enough sleep. And another thing that helps with sleeping is if you have a sleeping pattern. So someone like me, what has messed up my sleep is I don't have a pattern. I sleep anytime. I think siesta is a waste of time. So even if it's in the afternoon, you sleep for 1 hour, 30 minutes. At that time, when I said I had the accident, that I had this issue with my mental health, there was a day I was traveling somewhere and I was on the highway. I felt so weak. It's just that suddenly I may be doing something and this air just comes on me, air of depression, air of, is like, what are you just doing? I really felt so bad. And I just went off the easiest exit I could go. I went to a gas station. I just put off my car. I prayed and I slept. Honestly, when I got to, I told my husband, I just made sure it was a public place. It was a gas station that had Tim Hortons. So I parked right in front of the Tim Hortons as if I was going into the Tim Hortons. Just put on my ignition, I drew my seat back, I prayed, and I slept off. And I slept for like 15 minutes. Nobody woke me, I woke up myself. In fact, I thought I'd been there for hours. It was just 15 minutes. So at work, sometimes you put your head on your desk. They call them power naps. They do a lot during the day. Short breaks, power nap. But when you have regular sleep patterns, maybe you sleep at 9, you wake up at 5, you sleep at 10, you wake. It helps also with refreshing the body, because lack of sleep causes physical and emotional stress as well. So it's very important for us to sleep. Sleep is very important to finding balance in life and to prioritize, know what is important in life. There's a video that's really gone viral. It's about a professor that talks of using pebble stone about important things in life. I'll just play the video for us. I just want us to see. It's just about 8 minutes video. So you see from that video, it is very important to fill our lives with what is important. The sand doesn't matter, the pebbles less important, the stones are the most important things. But when you fill your time with the less important things, there would be little or no time for things that are important. When you fill your life with the important things, the medium important things, the less important things, you realize they fit in. And like the video says, even if the least important things don't fit in, who cares? They are least important. So we really need to find an equilibrium for ourselves. We need to find balance. We need to realize where we're going. At that point in my life, when I had that accident and I had this mental challenges in me, I discovered some things that were stress for me at work. I love law. If I were a trust fund baby and I didn't have to earn an income, I would practice law as a hobby. Is what I can do as a hobby. I love it. But at that point, I just realized that there's some particular area I didn't like. There was serious stress significant for me that when I wake up in the morning and I had to do those areas of law, I have this jittery all over me. You know, sometimes I actually am shaking seriously. And at times I was feeling guilty that, but what will I do with these files? How can I pass it on to others? But I now realize that I would be of no use, even to my colleagues, to my clients and myself, if I hold on to those things. So I had to let them go. And I'm a better person. Whatever files I'm handling now, my clients are better for it. My partners are better for it. My colleagues at work are better for it because I've learned to find equilibrium for myself. So I really want to admonish us to find out that we intentionally protect our mental health and we bring all aspects of our life into balance. It must be intentional. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel apologetic. Take a step at a time. You will get there. But don't forget that old habits is difficult to drop. New habits are difficult to form, but all you need to do is a step at a time and be consistent and you'll get there. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, we would be happy to take questions if there are any questions. So just give like, and as well, you can also signify by raising up your hands. You want to share some experience with us on how you've handled mental health, how you found balance at work, balance in relationship. Please, you are also welcome to do that at this forum. So we'll just be on a break for like 5 minutes and we'll come back to answer the questions. Thank you very much for your. Okay, so there are no questions here and I really want to thank you. I know when it comes to mental health, finding balance, these are very personal things and sometimes it's difficult to talk about. But I really want to encourage us. We need to find friends and bodies as well. You need to find bodies, somebody you can talk to when you think you're not feeling well. You need to seek a medical help when you think you really need that help. So it's very important for us to do that. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I hope we've been able to learn from buckling down on how to find balance in life. And have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. And I hope to get feedbacks from you on how you've been able to maintain balance, what has worked for you. And maybe we'll do a follow-up with this to find out what has worked for people. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.